into that?
So we haven't got through the whole document, but so far, my read of it is that the NSA is looking to shore up the stability of their partner, which means basically that they're monitoring on behalf of and acting to secure the longevity of Saudi Arabia. Which reminds me of the New Zealand legislation where they're talking about the international partnerships that the New Zealand intelligence agencies can act to preserve the international partnerships. So basically they're like back scratching. Yeah. They're like, you're our partner, we want you to stick around, and therefore we will use our behemoth system to oppose anyone who opposes you and to keep you in power for as long as possible.
Ensure your internal stability. Yeah, that's what that sounds like, definitely.
Okay, let's keep reading. So they're looking at the possible challenges to the future stability of Saudi Arabia. Will they get old and die off, or too corrupt, or too unpopular? Or is there a younger generation ready to take it? So they're looking at succession.
Yeah.
Oh, and I hadn't even read that, but is there a plan of succession to the throne? And who might be pulling the strings in the background? Well, the NSA is pulling the strings in the background by the looks of things.
So it sounds like they're almost literally just saying, who should we support to benefit ourselves the most? That's how I read this.
Have they finally woken up, and will Saudi cooperation with US counterterrorism efforts be forthcoming? That's interesting. So are they suggesting that Saudi have not yet been...
That's what that sounds like.
But we know they are now, because we've got Trump rubbing the orb at the Saudi counterterrorism center.
Yeah, I've made so many jokes about that.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. I never get sick of that. Him and King, what's his face, rubbing the orb. It's like, oh my God, it's so strange. The orb will tell us everything we need to know.
Yeah, I've made a lot of jokes about that particular image, but
50% of the population under the age of 18.
Yeah. That reminds me of the whole Arab Spring issue as well that came later, obviously.
This brown bag session is classified top secret. So that suggests to me that perhaps the classification is about which partners they don't want accessing it.
Yeah.
So perhaps Saudi has access to, secret but not top secret. But then at that time, if they're not sharing counterterrorism, that's really interesting, that line about have they finally woken up?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's an interesting point to have documented in one of these primary sources.
So then my question would be, was Saudi Arabia not one of the countries in the coalition of the willing?
I thought they were. I may be wrong. That might be a question chat could answer.
I know there's a list of the countries that are on Wikipedia because I've sourced it previously.
Yeah, I thought they were, but I might be misremembering that. It's been such a long, drawn-out conflict in that area, so.
Doesn't look like it.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that the number of countries was 48.
It actually changed. There was a couple that quit, actually, that withdrew.
Yeah, well, it's like the 17 intelligence agencies. The media just drills the high number into your brain so that you think that there's a consensus that is then correct, like that has some sort of moral weight. And then, intelligence agencies then retract and there's 3, but you just get the number 17 or 48 NLP like drilled into your mind. So.
And look, only 3 of them actually showed up for the original invasion: UK, Australia, and Poland.
Yeah, I remember that there were so many, I guess, signatories on it, but only a couple actually sent troops.
That said, though, all of the special forces would have gone. Like this is total nonsense. Like they're talking about regular army here, but there's no way that if SASR, Australian SAS went, there's no way that NZSAS didn't.
Yeah.
I'll just never hear about it because it'll be classified.
Yeah.
But where the UK SAS go, the Australian and New Zealand SAS go as well.
Absolutely.
There's also SAS in other countries that people aren't broadly aware of. I don't see any reference to Saudi Arabia.
So yeah, if they weren't, then that definitely does lend to the interpretation you're talking about, where they're not being as supportive as the public might have been aware of.
Well, they're certainly not a part of NATO, are they? So if they're not a part of NATO and then weren't a part of the coalition of the willing, then in theory, they're not actually part of the intelligence sharing. Or they have a separate, perhaps they have a separate intelligence sharing agreement. But something must have changed for sure, because the US and Saudi are completely embedded in counterterrorism, which is what UN war is all about, and the US refueling of the airships. So what I take from this more broadly is that the US-Saudi relationship has dramatically changed or been transformed since 2004.
Yeah.
And that makes me want to find out more about Bush and Prince Bandar, or whatever his name is. What was the effect of that relationship and the closeness there? And then subsequently Clinton and Prince Bandar, Clinton as Secretary of State.
Yeah.
And whether that is why that relationship changed so substantially.
Yeah, I'm writing that down right now. Just that this gives insight into the history of the US-Saudi relationship